2025 in the UFC was looked at as potentially one of the best years ever. However, we did not get realistically anything we planned on getting. We didn't get the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight. We didn't get the Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria mega fight. And along with many other things, this has just been a very frustrating and annoying year for a lot of MMA fans like me. Today, we're going to be highlighting the most annoying and frustrating things to happen this year, whether it be pullouts, whether it be retirements, whether it be any of that stuff. Make sure to subscribe because we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're like 13 subscribers away, man. Just subscribe. It takes 1 second. But without further ado, let's talk about it. This is in no specific order, and it's just in the order that it happened in. So, to start off the year, we were originally supposed to get UFC 311, Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam Makhachev. A lot of people were saying that this is going to be Islam Makhachev toughest challenge yet as the champion. And obviously, guys, I'm sure we've all heard by now. We were there. Everyone knows where they were at when Arman Tsarukyan pulled out of his fight against Islam Makhachev. One of the saddest things ever. I remember where I was. I remember seeing Renato Moicano set to step in, and it hurt me. It really did, man, because I thought Arman Tsarukyan was going to go in there, and he was going to give Islam Makhachev a big, hard, tough challenge. Obviously now, the division has completely moved on. Arman Tsarukyan hasn't fought in like a year and a half. Islam Makhachev's move up to welterweight is pretty much confirmed after his last fight against Renato Moicano. And it just sucks, man. We're probably never going to see Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan because really, if Islam Makhachev ever goes back down to 155 pounds, which is unlikely already as it is, I think Islam Makhachev's putting on all this muscle to 170. He's been bulking up really his entire career. We've seen him go from someone who's just an average 155er to someone who has been a weight bully over the years. And now with him just putting on all these pounds, with him bulking up and putting on that muscle, he's not going to go down to 155. He's not going to want to go down to 155. And if he does want to go down to 155, it is going to be to face Ilia Topuria, not Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan is literally just coming off that Charles Oliveira win from like 5 years ago, man. It has been so long since Arman Tsarukyan's last fight, and he isn't even booked yet. That's the thing, man. I would love to just wake up one day and see on Instagram Arman Tsarukyan versus Justin Gaethje, Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett. At least book him because it looks like he's not going to have a fight this entire year. And that genuinely is scary, and it scares me just long term. Are the UFC and Arman Tsarukyan just on bad terms? I don't want to have another Magomed Anklaev situation where one of the best lightweight contenders, or in Magomed Anklayev's instance, flyweight contenders, is just not in the UFC, because that sucks. Magomed Anklaev would be a tough outing for Alexandre Pantoja, the same way that Arman Tsarukyan would be a very tough outing for Ilia Topuria, for Arman Tsarukyan. But if the kid's never going to fight again, it sucks, man. But I'm getting off topic here. You guys know what I mean. Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam Makhachev, the pullout that shocked the world, man. And it put a bad taste in a lot of MMA fans' mouth, and it put a curse on the UFC, because ever since this pullout, we have had pullouts literally every single card, man. I mean, before in MMA, pullouts were fairly common. We'd see them every once in a while, especially on big fights. They weren't as common, But now it feels like literally every fight is not going to happen, dude. Rafael Fiziev just pulled out against Charles Oliveira, along with a lot of pullouts more recently, and it sucks. It makes me very frustrated. But Arman Tsarukyan started a bad trend this year, pulling out against Islam Makhachev, one of the saddest moments this year. Moving on to the next very frustrating thing, very annoying thing that happened this year in the UFC. Alex Periera, when he lost to Big Ink, the narrative going into this fight was, man, Alex Periera, he's going to continue that winning streak. He's going to go in there against Big Ink. He's going to chin him. All the Dagestani inbreds, they're going to be super sad. All the Periera Glazers, Shama. We're all going to be singing. We're all going to be rejoicing, man. This is going to be his 4th title defense in the span of a year. Life is going to be good. He's going to go down as one of the top 10 greatest fighters ever. And then UFC 313 happened. We had a big fight cancellation in the co-main event. Dan Hooker was originally supposed to fight Justin Gaethje. We got Rafael Fiziev on like 11 days notice, but it's okay because we got this mega fight. The fight happens, and it is just a 5-round snooze fest. Really, nothing happened. It was just a lot of Magomed Anklaev holding Alex Periera against a cage. He couldn't get him down, which I think is something big for the second fight, which we'll be talking about the second fight in a couple weeks, man. Or I guess this next week coming up, because it's coming up fairly fast. But this fight, their first fight, was very boring. Just very boring. Not a lot happening. Turned Periera into an absolute point fighter. Magomed Anklaev was just being a point fighter as well. Nothing happened in this fight. Nothing remarkable. At the end of the second round, Big Ang kind of stunned Periera, backed him against the cage, but nothing really remarkable after that. And, yeah, man, it was a pretty clear win for Anklaev. Not much to say about this, but we really just wanted to see a war between two of the best 205-pounders in the world. You know, we love Alex Periera. All of Alex Pereira's fights are just entertaining. How bad is Magomed Anklaev that he can't make an Alex Periera fight entertaining? Like, really, man. Every single one of Alex Pereira's fights is super entertaining. Khalil Rountree, one of the best fights of the year. Yuri Prochazka, 2 times, one of the best fights of the year. Jamal Hill chinned him in like the second round. And then this fight, 5-round boar fest. Man, it's just no surprise that the second a Dagestani, the second a Russian comes into a fight with Alex Periera, it magically goes to a 5-round decision. And guys, the same thing's going to happen in the next fight, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. The same exact thing is going to happen at UFC 320. Well, my predictions will drop in just a couple days. But moving on to the next frustrating thing that happened in the year 2025. It's going to go ahead and be Jon Jones retiring, man. He retired this year. Obviously, we all know it. We've all seen it, man. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks so badly. But what is there to do about it at this point? You know, he had a great legacy. We have to respect that. Except that's the narrative. I'm not going with that stupid, false narrative. Jon Jones is a bum. He's a scum. He's a wife beater. He's a horrible person. And I'm not going to let this man get away with this, because this is how Jon Jones wants us to think. He wants us to not remember this. In 5 years, he's going to think, man, they're not going to remember me ducking Tom Aspinall. They're going to remember my, 17-fight winning streak. Come on. Except we will remember that. We, all as MMA fans collectively, have to agree to remember how much he ducked Tom Aspinall. Hopefully Tom Aspinall doesn't get chinned his next fight. Hopefully Tom Aspinall doesn't go on a horrible losing streak, so it proves Jon Jones right in the end. But Jon Jones retired against Tom Aspinall. It sucked. It sucked. Tom Aspinall was so scared that Jon Jones had to retire. Like I said at the beginning of the video, 2025 had potential for some of the biggest fights. This was one of them. Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. We were expecting to get this mega fight. It was super exciting. We were all ready. You know, we thought eventually Jon Jones would come around to it. He would stop being a duck, and he would finally put pen on paper and fight Tom Aspinall. It never happened. He retired. Jon Jones wants to come back for the White House card, but I don't really know what's going to happen with that. It looks like Jon Jones is officially done. Tom Aspinall, however, it sucks to see, man. He didn't get this mega fight that we could have seen him chin Jon Jones in the first round, and we're never going to see that fight, really, guys, because there is no way ever in literally human history that Jon Jones actually mans up and fights Tommy Aspinall. You know, you're not fighting me, John. You know, you're a great competitor, but you're just not that guy anymore. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It sucks to see, man. One of the best fights this year. One of the best fights in UFC history. Potentially the biggest heavyweight fight ever. We will never see. You know, it was compared to Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. We were supposed to see that fight. Jon Jones was too scared for that. That was originally supposed to be the biggest heavyweight fight ever. Then times changed. You know, Francis Ngannou left the UFC, went to the PFL. Also, what is happening in the PFL with Francis Ngannou, dude? Maybe Dana White was right the entire time. Like, I think Francis Ngannou technically isn't even the PFL heavyweight champion anymore. He got stripped of it. Weird circumstances in the UFC, or sorry, the PFL. Maybe Dana was right about Francis Ngannou just being a money-hungry bum. But, yeah, I'm getting off topic. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, never happened. Sucks to see. Moving on to one of the most frustrating things that happened this year. The chinning of Charles Oliveira. But it was something we all knew was going to happen. Every MMA fan deep down, whether you proclaimed against it, whether you were like a diehard Charles Oliveira fan, saying, man, Charles Oliveira, he's going to be a tricky customer for Elite Bora, man. He's going to be throwing out submissions off his back every 5 seconds. Elite Bora has never dealt with a jiu-jitsu artist as great as Charles Oliveira. And then we seen Elite Bora go in there and he put Charles Oliveira in a crucifix. That will forever be one of the funniest things ever, dude. How good is Ilia Topuria to put Charles Oliveira in a crucifix? Oh my goodness. Jeez, man. This guy really is just unstoppable, huh? But Ilia Topuria, he slumped. He slimed out Charles Oliveira. I knew this was going to happen. Everyone knew this was gonna happen. I'm not gonna act like a hardcore and be like, yeah, man, I was the only one who was saying this. No, everyone was saying this, and if you weren't saying this, you were simply just lying to yourself. You were just trying to be, different. You were trying to be hyping on the bandwagon, man. Yeah, Charles Oliveira, man. Yeah, the Oliveira era is over, man. Cold, he's gone, he's dead, and Gamrot's gonna land him for 5 rounds in a couple of weeks. So yeah, man, it sucks to see Ilia Topuria have to do this to my boy. It really does. I'm not a Charles Oliveira hater. I'm just mocking a lot of fans who actually thought Charles Oliveira had a chance or lied to themselves and said Charles Oliveira had a chance. He got slimed out brutally. First round TKO, completely demolished in every aspect. One moment in this fight, Charles Oliveira showed like something decent, and that was an elbow that kind of just Ilia Topuria didn't even react to. It's over, man. It really is just over. Ilia Topuria is just that guy. The Charles Oliveira era is over, man. He got really lucky with the time he was champion. Maybe I'll make a video about that as a whole. But having Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, the perennial gatekeepers of the top 3. Come on, guys. This guy was in a division at the time where he became champion, where Islam Makhachev wasn't fully in his peak. Khabib had just retired. You got lucky, Charles. I love you, brother. You're super funny. You're super entertaining. We all love the guy. But come on, you got a little bit lucky. Ilia Topuria proved it. Moving on to the 5th and final, one of the most frustrating things to happen this year, in the year 2025, it's going to go ahead and be this fight, man. Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. And I'm not flaming Khamzat Chimaev at all. I'm not going to come out here and say, bro, man, all Khamzat did was just lay on my glorious king, Dricus. No. He did more than that. He was better than that. Dricus du Plessis, I could say the same thing about Dricus. Dricus also didn't get off his back. Dricus also didn't make this a competitive fight. The narrative going into this fight was this was the fight of the year. We didn't get the other 2 fights we hoped to get, but we got this one. This one is all that matters at the moment. Dricus du Plessis, one of the best middleweights of all time. You can't beat him. Khamzat Chimaev, you can't beat him either. 2 unstoppable forces collide. And one was just a lot more unstoppable than the other because Khamzat Chimaev ragdolled Dricus du Plessis for 5 straight rounds. One of the most brutal, not brutal, I don't even know how to describe this fight. One of the most dominant performances from a challenger we have ever seen. Probably the most dominant performance from a UFC title challenger we've ever seen. 50-44ing on all 3 judges' scorecard. That is crazy. 50-44, the champion. Absolutely ridiculous. And I think a lot of people aren't talking about this as much as they should. Like, what Khamzat Chimaev did to Dricus du Plessis is genuinely crazy. Like, that is genuinely mind-blowing. So, it was frustrating in the sense that, well, we thought this was going to be a better fight. I'm not going to say it was a bad fight. No, it was very interesting to me. My jaw was dropped to the floor seeing someone do that to Dricus du Plessis. I never thought we'd see Dricus du Plessis like that. But at the same time, I just wish it would have been a little bit more back and forth. I'm not saying it was a bad fight, but obviously it could have been better. And that was frustrating because we thought this was the fight of the year. It was supposed to be the fight of the year. And when it happened, it was just a very one-sided beatdown upon the other opponent. So, like I said, man, that's pretty frustrating. The UFC is in a very interesting spot right now. We're coming off a good couple of next fights. We got UFC Perth this weekend. It's a pretty dead card other than the main event. But after that, we got Gamrot and Charles in the main event. Then we got freaking Fluffy versus, or not even Fluffy anymore. Who is it? It's what's the kid's name? Reinier de Ridder versus Brendan Allen. Then we got like the mega fights coming up in November. Islam versus JDM. Zhang Weili versus everyone. Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko. It's going to be a banger end of the year. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. MMA Outpost out.